The biggest thing is remembering you're on the same team, working together. You can have a problem and feel a certain way and still work as a team. We can feel both. We can want to have our marriage feel good again and feel angry about what happened. Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life in marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you a very real and behind the scenes insight into how I practice what I preach. My marriage is not perfect, nor do I think it will ever be, but I love it and it is growing. And I wanted to share with you an experience that I had last week with my husband that had me really needing to lean on all the tools that I have to prevent myself from losing my shit and starting a fight and creating drama in the marriage. Okay. And my hope is that you will see that this stuff works. The stuff that I am sharing with you is exactly the stuff that I work on in myself, because this is not something that I grew up knowing how to do. I very much struggled my way through learning about relationships, and this is why doing this work is so important to me, because I understand how heartbreaking it can be to not know this stuff. And now that I know this stuff and I've been regularly, consistently practicing it, I know what difference it makes in my relationship, so much that I became a marriage coach and I support my clients through it. And they're now seeing the impact that it can have on their marriage so that they're not fighting and they're able to work through issues and problems together without it turning into this catastrophic moment or multiple moments where they're really questioning the livelihood of their marriage and whether or not they can take it anymore. Okay. And so this specific situation has to do with disappointment and frustration and unmet expectations. So my husband works a lot, okay? And with me owning my own business, I have a lot more flexibility. And also, I am on this mission to not experience burnout. And so I've gotten a lot better over the years with asking for support, for recognizing my bandwidth and letting my husband know what I can and cannot handle, and being real with myself about that. Because before I'm like, oh, I got it, I can do everything, whatever, like truly emulating what I was taught, which I think many of you were taught also, is just how to be a martyr as a woman, right? Because moms do it all. We are super women. We can keep track of all the things going on in our house with every single member, and we can do it all. We can do all the cleaning. We can do all the cooking. We can make it to every event, and we can, whatever. And I have recognized that that doesn't suit me. And the more honest I am with myself about what type of life I'm trying to create for myself and for my kids and my husband and who I want to show up as, I start to realize I needed to not commit to a bunch of things, and that I needed to let my husband participate, to co-parent more, to let me know what he's able to do, because I can always ask, right? He can always say no, but I can always ask. And so one of the agreements that we have is that on Tuesdays, he picks up our son from the bus stop, which is not far away from our house. Okay. And so he just takes a small break out of his workday to go get him and bring him home. That's it. And for the longest time, I wasn't asking for that. I would just run around like crazy. Okay. Because I have to go get my daughter, pick her up from school, rather than having her go to aftercare. But on Tuesdays, she has dance. And so I got to pick her up when she gets off and then bring her home, give her a snack, get her ready for dance, get her changed, have her use the bathroom, put her hair in a bun, and get her ready to go. But my son gets home about 30 minutes after I'm supposed to be at my daughter's school, which means that I have to rush back home, take her to go pick him up, which takes away time from getting her ready. And so it's very rushed. I don't like to be rushed. I thrive off of pressure, but what I noticed is that it makes me very anxious. And it took me a really long time to realize that and acknowledge that to myself, that I don't thrive in that state unless it's cleaning. The best way for me to clean is actually to invite people over. Okay, that's a little I don't know why I'm like that, but it's like I can get so much done, and that pressure is what helps me want to do it and get inspired to do it. I don't know if it's ADHD or I don't know what it is. Okay. Anyway, so I asked my husband, I was like, look, can you start picking him up so that I don't have to feel like I'm rushing, so that I can just focus on her and not rush her? Because you're a mom, you know, rushing kids is not fun. They don't like it. It's not the vibe for them. They will fight. And I feel like, honestly, they end up moving slower. At least my kids do. And so rushing is not the vibe that I want to set. I want to have it be a good experience and not go to dance all upset. So we have that agreement. He picks him up. I pick up my daughter, get her ready, and then I take her to dance. And this particular Tuesday, I picked her up, gave her a snack, was starting to get her ready, and I was like, isn't it time for him to pick our son up? And so I walk over to his office, and I just see him sitting there in a meeting, not looking like he's doing anything to get off the meeting. He doesn't mention to me, hey, I can't get out of this. There was no prior conversation. There was no asking if I can go get him. There's no acknowledgement. And I start to get really frustrated because now I got to go rush over to get him, bring him back, take him to dance, which I don't normally. And I'm having a really hard time adjusting to this new scenario because this is not our routine, right? And so I find myself stuck. And so I'm spiraling. I'm pissed. I'm like, what the hell? He knows this is a busy day. Why isn't he doing this? You know, why didn't he let me know in advance so that I could plan around this and mentally prepare myself for this? And just so much frustration and anger. And I felt like, you know, how could he do this to me? Right. And I was like, oh, it's coming out. Right. Just like in my previous episode, what is it? 143? I said to name that persona, right? And so my Regina was coming out. It's like, ew, how could he do this to me? But I noticed it. I caught myself. And I was like, okay, this kind of thinking is not helpful. This is not going to help me get the things I need done. So we're just going to have to deal with this later. It's not like I'm going to pull him out of the meeting and start like talking about it and discussing it and being like, what the hell, right? Like that, I'm not going to do that. And so I just had to pivot. I took a deep breath and I was like, okay, how can I accomplish all the things I need to do in the least stressful way? So normally I walk to go get our son. I was like, nope, we're driving. I don't care. It's going to save us time. So I talked to my daughter. I'm like, look, daddy's busy. Can you just stay here and finish your food? Because if I took her, then she wouldn't have as much time to snack before dance. I'm like, I need you to stay here. I don't want you to talk to daddy. I just need you to stay here. If you have to go to the bathroom, take care of that. But if you need help wiping, you're just going to have to stay on the seat until I get home because it's not far, right? She's like, okay, like you have to promise me, don't talk to daddy, don't go in his area. Okay. So I go drive, get my son, bring him back, and, finish getting my daughter ready. I say thank you to her because she actually followed through. She stayed in her seat and finished her snack, got her ready. And I took my son with, and, I was like, okay, we're doing this. And as that was all going on, I was like, okay, yeah, I could have a million negative thoughts about what just happened and why I'm having to do this by myself. And what is a different side to this? Because that's just my tunnel vision speaking. So what else could be true, right? Well, I know that he's a great man. Cool. So if he's a great man, what happened, right? If I'm going to focus on him being a great husband, and I know his character because we've been together for a long time now, right? We celebrated 10 years of marriage this year, and we've been parenting together for 13 years now, right? So what could be true? What am I not thinking of because my anger is blinding me? Oh, he hasn't been getting good sleep lately because work has been crazy. And, oh, I remember he said he had a presentation today. So maybe he's so tired that he's not thinking straight and he's so focused on doing this presentation because it's a big one, right? And it just wasn't top of mind. And he didn't do it to me. It just happened. So maybe that's what happened. And he's human. He made a mistake. How would I like to be addressed if I were him? Would I want someone to ream me? No, because it's not like I did it on purpose, right? So how would I want to be approached about this? Probably with compassion, right? Because if someone came at me crazy, I'd probably go crazy at them too. I would get defensive and I would not back down because I don't feel like I'm being respected. And so I took my son with me to the dance studio because I didn't want him interrupting the meeting. And when I got there and got my daughter settled in and she went off to class, I got a text message from my husband. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize what time it was. Thank you so much for picking him up and for taking him with you. I blocked Tuesdays now so that this won't happen again. And my jaw was on the floor. I was like, what the hell just happened? Because it was so foreign to me, right? Because my pattern and belief is to think that if someone wronged me, I have to let them know. I have to give them a piece of my mind and I have to be aggressive about it because that's what I saw, right? I can't approach it with calmness because I'm not going to be taken seriously. And so the fact that I didn't say a single thing, the struggle was just me, myself, and I didn't bring him onto the roller coaster with me. And I still got this, right? I got acknowledgement. I got an apology. I got changed behavior. I'm like, what in the hell? And so that experience is like very healing to me. And the more experiences we can have that are like this, the easier it is to be able to respond in a way that we want to going forward. Because now I'm building evidence in my mind to say, hey, maybe we don't have to respond with aggression and through our anger to be able to solve things, to be able to navigate through stuff. Maybe there's a different way to do this because we have experienced that and it did work, right? And so when I got home, he was like, again, sorry. And I'm like, thank you for texting me, because I was really upset because I was so stressed out and it was already a hard day. And then that happened. And, none of that is your fault. And I know you didn't do it on purpose, but like, I'm really glad that I've worked on myself, because I could have easily just been so upset at you and given you a piece of my mind. He goes, yeah, that wouldn't have worked out. I'm like, I know. I wouldn't have gotten the response that you gave me. Or maybe you would have still done that over time, but not without us both getting hurt. Because if I fought you, then you would fight back, and then I would get hurt, and then you would get hurt. And there'd be just a lack of respect. And part of us would have gotten damaged, and we'd have to do the repair work, and just a lot of wasted time, right? It would have affected the rest of the day. And so, all that to say, even though you're coming from a place where dealing with conflict isn't calm, and the example that I gave you isn't your reality, you can work up to that, okay? Because of the tools that I've learned and I've been consistently practicing, the people that I've worked with to help me grow as a person, I was able to experience that. We were able to grow through that, because I did not grow up to be a calm person. And yet I handled that with calm. I didn't ignore my anger. I let myself feel it. And then I pivoted to something that would help our relationship, not hurt it. Now, I shared this incident on Threads, and someone asked, well, what if he didn't text back? What would you do? What if instead he assumed that you could do that every single time and it just becomes your thing? Well, I would never let that happen, because if he didn't say something, then I would have waited until I was ready to talk in a calm way, to approach him in a respectful way that prioritized our growth together and us having the right relationship rather than being right. And said, hey, today, I don't know if you noticed, but it was your day to pick him up, and I noticed that you were at a meeting, and so I picked him up instead. you know does this still work for you? Because it's really helpful when you do pick him up, and when you don't, it's like super stressful for me. So if this is not something that works for your schedule anymore, we have to figure something else out, because I don't want to be stressed out, because then I'm just going to have a hard time and potentially take it out on all of you guys because I'm so stressed out. So what can we do going forward? Was this like a one-off, or do you see this being like an issue going forward? Like, what can we do? And we can problem solve, right? If it was going to be a problem going forward, then, at least then I could mentally prepare myself. I could maybe switch days that my daughter takes dance, or I can ask a neighbor to pick up our son because, they have the same bus stop, or I can have my husband do something else to lighten the load, like in a different way that works for his schedule. We could get creative about it. Okay. So I'm not saying wait. Okay. Don't wait to see if he'll bring it up, to see if he'll notice, because you're essentially creating a trap for him to fall into. Wait for yourself to feel calmer, to be able to bring it up in a supportive, compassionate way, giving your husband the benefit of the doubt, not going into the conversation fully ready to fight because you want to give him a piece of your mind. You want to show him how wrong he is. Like, that is not the vibe that you want for your marriage, okay? You want to go for the right relationship, not just to be right, okay? Because if you are focusing on being right, all you're going to do is end up alone. You could be alone while still being married, or you could be alone, divorced, and separated. So pause, let yourself get in the right mindset and figure out, okay, what can I do in this moment right now that would help us get through this? So for me, it was, okay, how can I make this the less stressful possible for myself? And how do I want to handle this? Because I didn't know he was going to text me. That was like best case scenario. I didn't even think of that scenario, actually. And if he didn't, then I would have to think, okay, how do we address this? Because I don't want this to happen again. Also, I don't want to make him feel like this is going to break our marriage, Because honestly, this is like a blip in our marriage, right? This is just a problem and we're going to fix it. So I'm going to present him with the issue and we're going to work through it together, remembering that we're on the same team. And I think that that's the biggest thing, is remembering you're on the same team, working together. You can have a problem and feel a certain way and still work as a team. We can feel both. We can want to have our marriage feel good again and feel angry about what happened. Okay. So give yourself time, work through it, and you can get to this point. Okay. And I have a free guide for you if you are wanting support with what questions to ask yourself to be more clear about what it is that you are experiencing, to be able to verbalize how you're feeling in a productive way and be able to keep the conversation moving forward rather than getting stuck in a loop like, I'm so pissed that you did this, I can't believe but rather being able to express yourself in a healthy way, how you felt, how it impacted you, what it is that you want, what you didn't like, and what you need going forward. So go check out the show notes for that. Grab it. Let me know if you have any questions about how to implement it and how to use it. And of course, if you are wanting support at all, let me know. I would love to help you be able to turn your conflict into connection going forward, because once you have the tools, oh my gosh, it is life-changing. Okay. And I'm an example of that. And I have clients who will tell you how life-changing it is, how it has helped their marriage do a complete 180 from not really knowing if they like their husband anymore because of the dynamic that they've created over the years, to feeling smitten again, feeling like, okay, we got this. Like whatever issue we have, we can navigate through it together as a team and grow from it. And we love hanging out with each other again. And we feel like we're dating, right? Even though we're raising kids, we are boyfriend and girlfriend again. And I would love nothing more than the same for you. All right. That's all for this episode. If you love this, let me know what you liked most about this episode, what your takeaway is. And if you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share it. And of course, if you love the show, please leave a rating and review on Spotify or iTunes. When you guys leave a review and how much the show is impacting you, it really brings a smile to my face. All right, that's all. I will catch you back here on the next episode. Bye. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.